Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Please welcome to Shri Shri Radha Govinda temple. And Radha Govinda looks so beautiful today. And on your cell phone, on a laptop, or on a TV screen, you have the same form at your place. So please welcome Shri Shri Radha Govinda, and Radha Govinda also welcomes you. And be prepared to worship them, and let's glorify him in the form of Ramachandraji. So we'll be reading from Valmiki Ramayana as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are now in Ayodhya Kand. We have already finished Bal Kand. So please be with us, and let's start the class with chanting Jai Radha Madhav Nikunjbihari, Srila Prabhupada's favorite bhajan. Jai Radha Madhav Nikunjbihari, Jai Radha Madhav Nikunjbihari, Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari, Jashodanandan Vrajjan Ranjan, Jashodanandan Vrajjan Ranjan, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari, Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari, Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopijan Vallabha Girivardhari, Jashodanandan Vrajjan Ranjan, Jashodanandan Vrajjan Ranjan, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari, Jai Radha Madhava Nikunjbihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupada Paramhans परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शता भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासति गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अंतर्विप मायापुर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। समावेद भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. So, last time we read up to certain portion where in association of a wicked woman called Manthara, Kaikai changed her mind regarding not only her husband but also Lord Ram, that she loved more than her own son. So this is the reaction. When you associate with wrong person, then all your decisions also come out wrong. So those verses were in Valmiki Ramayana like this. Ekada sukumasinam Raja Swantapurajire Sarvabharana Sampannam Ratnasinhasane Sthitam. One day, Maharaja Dashrath was sitting on a royal throne, and then he announced, I have grown old and now desire to hand the royal throne over to my eldest son, Rama. It is now the sacred month of Chaitra, and tomorrow the auspicious constellation Pushya will be ascending. Therefore, with your permission, I will direct the ceremonies for installing Ram as heir apparent begin tomorrow. Atha Raja Dasharath Kadachit Rahasi Sthita Vasishtam Swakulacharyam Ahuyedam Abhashatam. The assembled ministers, kings and citizens all applauded Dashrath's proposal. They then glorified Ram's incomparable virtues, equating him with Lord Vishnu himself. Thus Maharaja Dashrath was both pleased and relieved. After everyone departed, he requested Vasishtha Munu to immediately begin preparation for the installation of the ceremony. Now, the preaching part comes in this particular verse, and it says, Ata sanga parityajyo dusthanam sarvadevahi duhu sangi chavate svartat atheyam rajakanyaka. Duhu sangi means bad association. If you have a basket of fruit, fresh fruit, but you put something rotten fruit inside, then one rotten fruit can spoil all the fruits, and you have to throw away the whole basket of fruit. That's the effect of bad association. And that is why here it says that because her fickle heart had come completely under the sway of malice and greedy, Kaikeyi was delighted with Manthara's plan. She assured the maid servants that she would follow her advice to the letter. Indeed, through her twisted association, Kaikeyi had become obsessed with the idea of making Bharata the empire of the world. Kaikeyi's decision was finally following Manthara's suggestion. She said that you should ask your husband, Dashrath, and you shall demand that Bharat be installed immediately and Rama banished to the forest. Like a mad woman, Kaikeyi glorified Manthara, considering him to be the cause of all good fortune. She said, my dear Manthara, although hunchbacks are generally sinful, you are wise and honorable. I think your so-called deformed body is quite beautiful. Indeed, you stoop over like a lotus flower bending in a breeze. Thus, your appearance is very charming. Moreover, your breasts are large and lovely, concealing your delicate navel as they bend low. Your hips are graceful and your thighs are smooth and shapy. Dressed in bright silk, you appear to shimmer, while the ankle bells that circle your soft feet twinkle melodiously. She is praising Manthara and proposing Dashrath Raja. And Dashrath Raja, because of love for Ramachandraji, he simply faints and cries and again requests Kaikeyi to take back her request and ask for anything else, but do not separate my dear son Ram from me. That's all the Satraja wanted. But she didn't pay any cooperation because now she's greedy and wants her son Bharat to be the king of Ayodhya. Then Rama comes on that sin, and Rama asked Kaikeyi, what is the cause of my father's distress? Have I unwillingly offended him? Because of her wicked behavior, Kaikeyi had become thoroughly callous. Impudently she responded, the king is not angry, nor offended or aggrieved. He simply has something to tell you, but is afraid to do so, because he thinks it will hurt you. Your father once offered me 2 boons, but because of unmanly wickedness, he now hesitates to fulfill his promise. My dear Ram, You should protect your father's virtue, but persuading him to not fall prey to falsity. If you promise that you are prepared to carry out the king's order, I will tell you the two benedictions I desire. Deeply hurt, Ram replied, My dear mother, I am surprised that you doubt I will unflinchingly carry out his wishes. I would do so, even if it means entering into fire. Please speak freely about what my father wants, and I will act accordingly. I solemnly promise. Thus assured by Rama, Kaikeyi said, After your father was severely wounded while fighting with the demon Sambara, I carefully nursed him back to life. Out of gratitude, the king begged me to accept two boons. I then told my husband that I would use this later when I needed them. Now I wish to accept those boons, and this is what I desire. First, I ask your father to install Bharat as the next king of Koshala. Second, I ask king to banish you to the forest for 14 years. There you will have to live as an ascetic with matted hair and garments of tree bark and deer skin. Ram, it is your duty to ensure that your father does not go back on his word and thus tread on the path of unrighteousness. Although Kaikeyi had spoken maliciously, Ram was not in least agitated or aggravated. Without displaying even slight displeasure, he cheerfully replied, My dear mother, I shall immediately go to the forest as you desire. Let messengers be sent at once to summon Bharat. I have no regrets. My only wish is that my father may always look favorably upon me. Please do not harbor ill feelings towards me. Hearing Kaikeyi delightedly exclaimed, It is settled. We will send messengers to my brother's house so that my son comes as quickly as possible. As for you, Ram, I urge you to leave without delay. Do not worry about your father. For the moment, he is bewildered, but after you depart, he will regain his composure. Rama said, My dear mother, it grieves me that my father himself has not ordered me into exile. Of course, I am quite ready to obey your command alone. Kaikeyi said, Because you are his pet son, your father is too mortified to speak. In fact, until you depart, I don't think that he can even bathe or eat his breakfast. While hearing all this, Maharaj Dasharatha could only moan, Oh, how painful, what a shame. When Kaikeyi finished speaking, the king lost consciousness and fell on the floor. As Rama lifted up his father, he told Kaikeyi, I don't want to live in this world as a slave to greed and passion. Like the sages, I am devoted to righteousness. I would never give up the path of virtue merely for the sake of ruling the kingdom. My dear mother, there was no need for you to trouble my father. If you had directly asked me, I would have unhesitatingly given you the kingdom and retired to the forest. Rama bowed to Maharaja Dasharatha and Kaikeyi and then left to tell his mother. Lakshmana had been listening outside the door, and it was with great effort that he controlled his rage as he followed his elder brother. So, like I said, these are all very sad moments, and that's why I said that now pretty soon the story is going to take a turn, going into a gloomy direction. Tato Dasharatho Raja Rama Karanat Adishya Mantri Prakruti Sanando Gruhumavisha Tatasumitra Drastvenam Ramam Ragni Sasambrama Kausalya Bodhayamas Ramoya Samupastita Ayantam Nagara Drastva Marge Ram Sajanakim Lakshmanena Samam Viksha Uchuhu Sarve Parasparam. So, Kaushalya didn't care for the kingdom. However, she only feared separation from her beloved son. She said, "My dear Ram, please do not go into exile. It would be more virtuous for you to remain here to please your poor mother than go to the forest at your father's command. If you go, I will fast until death, for life will be unbearable without you." As you know, these moments are comparable to the sad parts or portions which are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. She said, "I will fast until death, for life will be unbearable without you." The gopis in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 31, gopis say the same thing, that it is only for your sake that we, your devoted servants, maintain our lives. There is no other reason for our lives. We don't want to live. We leave you, or we live here in this world because of you. If Krishna is not there, then we don't want to leave that place. We would rather die. But the only reason we are breathing, eating, talking, behaving like a human being, singing, because of you, Krishna. Anything that we do in our life is just a kind of devotional service to you, because every moment we think of you, and anything we do, we dedicate it to you. When we see with our eyes, we know we want to see your beautiful form, as just like we see Radha Krishna. When we speak, we only chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We only eat Bhagavad Prasad and drink Charnamrita. So, our life is designed in such a way that Krishna is not out of it. Wherever Krishna is there, our life is there. And we live because of you. It is only for your sake that we, your devoted servants, maintain our lives. Otherwise, there is no reason to maintain our life. So they are singing a Gopi Git. And the verse go like this. गोप्य ऊचुः जयति देधिकं जन्मना व्रज श्रयत इंदिरा शश्वदात्र हि जयति तेधिकं जन्मना व्रज श्रयत इंदिरा शश्वतत्र हि दैत्यधृष्यतां दीक्षुतावकाश त्वयि धृतावस त्वां विचन्वते दैत्यधृष्यतां दीक्षुतावकाश त्वयि धृता सव त्वां विचिन्वन्ते. The gopis said, O beloved, your birth in the land of Vraja has made it exceedingly glorious. You took birth here, and because of your birth, this particular place known as Vrindavan, Vraj, has become glorious. Otherwise, where is the glory on the earth? There is no glory in this material world. And this is spot is glorious because of your birth. And thus Indira, the goddess of fortune, always resides here. Mother Lakshmi is not in Vaikuntha. She is right here because you are here. It is only for your sake that we, your servants, maintain our lives. We have been searching everywhere for you, so please show yourself to us. They cannot even remain one moment without Krishna. And whenever Krishna is not in front of their eyes, they sing this kind of prayers. Srila Prabhupada, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, and the way he has explained and commented this kind of purports, you can tell that the person who can come up with all this information related to a single verse like that must profess languages, prose and poetries, must be a student of grammar, must have learned Sangeet, ragas, melodies, must have sense of rhythm, notes, merits, and must be a devotee, because he said, this particular verse or Gopi Geet is sung in a raga called Kanaka Manjari. There are all kind of ragas, right? Yesterday we were defining Bharatvarsha. What is a Bharat? In which we said, Bha is Bhava, Buddhaha Bhava Samanvita. Ras stands for Raga. Here he says the Raga is Kanaka Manjari and Tal, the rhythm. So, he says, those who are familiar with the art of chanting Sanskrit, verses will be able to appreciate the specially exquisite Sanskrit poetry of this chapter. Specifically, the poetic meter of the verse is extraordinarily beautiful and also for the most part, in each line, the first and seventh syllables begin with the same consonant as do the second syllable of all four lines. So, in linguistic, in languages, in grammar, there are certain rules. And he is explaining that how Maharishi Vedvyas has written. So, if you see Jayati, that T is matches with Te Adhikam, then Adhik, right? So, in the word, he says that in each line the first and seventh syllables with the same consonant. The first is T and Te Adhikam, D is seventh. And then Shrat Indira, so D, T, D, D, right? And in the next line, Daita. So the E is also that, and then again seventh, Dikshu, D. And then Twa Yi, so Twai again came, and Vichinvate, Vichi. So that is Vi and Chi also. There's the same kind of discipline in every word that Maharishi Vedvyas used from grammar point of view. So he says, in each line the first and seventh syllable begin with the same consonant as do the seven syllables for all four lines. So Jayati Te Dikam Janmana Vraja Shrayat Indira Shashvata Datrayi Daita Drishyatam Dikshutavras Tvai Drutavase Tavastvam Vichinvate. So all those words, they are so beautifully interwoven in what you call a verse. And that is the beauty of this particular scriptures. Either you take it a Srimad Bhagavatam or a Ramayana or anything, the syllables or A, B, C, D, when you look at the book or reading the book or chanting the verses or trying to understand the purport, that time the alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, they don't jump and get separated from rest. The alphabets that make the words, they don't even get separated and jump from the book. The sentences which are made of those words, they also don't separately jump. The verses also don't say that, well, I'm separate than other one. All the verses, like he just mentioned, throughout the whole chapter, 31st chapter of 10th canto, the same melody and same grammar, everything is in discipline. And even the pages also do not say, I'm page number 1 and page number 2. When you read, you don't even notice where you are, because you are involved in the story itself. And it's so interesting that you just, from beginning to end, you maintain your interest in it. It's a flow. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to appreciate in this particular verse. We are reading, today is the 5th day, and the reason we have already spent sometimes the whole week for Bhagavad Gita, sometimes whole week for Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes whole week for Chaitanya Charitamrita, and sometimes whole week for Ramayana. Why do we do that? Why do we listen and why do we read from here? Because in Bhagavad Gita it says, Yaidam paramam guhyam madabhakteshva vidasyati Bhaktim mai param krutva mame vaishyata sanshaya yaidam paramam bhuyam madabhakteshva vidasyati bhaktim mai param krutva mame vaishyati sanshaya. Because Radha Krishna wants us to do that. The injunction or the explanation or instruction given in Bhagavad Gita is this. One who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to Godhead. So our business or our goal, our destination, in our mind we are set that we want to go back to Godhead. And that is why possible we read this kind of scriptures and we try to glorify the Lord at the same time. Lord Krishna is like a fire. We are like a steel or metal or some kind of, insignificant iron. That iron is cold, doesn't give you heat, doesn't give you light. But you put a ball of iron into oven, heat it up, put it in the fire, the same steel or iron or that metal will become red hot. That particular ball, when you pull out from the kiln or oven or fire space, what happens? It's red hot. It gives away so much heat. If you touch, it's going to burn your finger. It gives the light also. If it's dark, you can see from miles and miles red hot ball from far away because it has a light. Whatever the fire has the qualities, the dead matter gets it. So same thing happens with when you are with Krishna and you serve him and do some devotional service. When you read about him, when you hear about him, no matter what you do, Shravana, Kirtan, Smarana, Vandana, Pada Sevana, Dasya, Pujana, Sakijana, Atma Nivedana. These are now 9 outlets, 9 ways to perform devotional service. Listening, chanting, remembering, paying obeisances, serving lotus feet, to be a servant of Krishna, worshipping him, to consider him a friend or conjugal love, or to open the heart to the Supreme and express our gratitude and glorify him every moment through reading scriptures. So we get the same kind of qualities that Lord Sri Krishna has. How can you prove that? Is it really possible? We just read about mantra and Kaikai. And here it already said that atah sangha parityajyo dustanam sarvadevihi dusangi chavet swarthad atheyam Rajakanyaka. Rajakanyaka, right? She is the wife of Dashrath, the king of Ayodhya. Kaikeyi was not ordinary person to become wife. and especially prominent wife of, dear wife of Dashrath. It's very hard, very difficult. But from that position she had to come back, come down to position of mantra, maid servant. How come she may have intelligence? What can she think of? What feelings can she have? What life she can have it? How can you get a guidance from her? But because of the association, that's what happened. So when you associate with good devotees, and when you directly associate with Krishna, then you get all those qualities that Lord Sri Krishna has. I will give you an example of Sir Albert Einstein. Sir Albert Einstein didn't have any time because all his work was so surprising to this world. Science was his life, research was his life, invention was his life. And whatever he wrote, every university student was attracted and they would invite him and try to know something from him. So one of the person who was intelligent, he says, well, it's nice to stay with Albert Einstein than get a job from anywhere else. I don't care whether I am paid or no, but I should spend more time with Albert Einstein. So he went to him and he says, I am at your service. I will drive your car. I'll be your chauffeur. I'll be a driver. And I'm not looking for money. He knew that by becoming a driver of Albert Einstein, he will have some chance to meet him every single day. And also wherever they are traveling, on the way, he can learn something, that scientific ideas that Albert Einstein had. What was done, what's being done, what can be done. We can always discuss that. So he had this fantastic idea, and he will drive. After years and years, he had so much knowledge in presence of Albert Einstein. The one time, Einstein says, I'm so tired. I cannot handle this. Today, especially, we drove far away. Now I have no stamina to speak to the students. So driver says, sir, I have been learning so much from you. Maybe I can go and talk to them. They don't know who is Einstein. You sit here on driver's seat, and when the crowd comes, I'll get off from that gate, and they will think I'm Einstein, and I'll speak to them. Albert says, sure. See, yes. You want to test me? Ask me. So whatever the subject was, Albert Einstein explained, and instantly he explained to Einstein. So very simple. Step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the answer. So wow, this is good. You're a good student. Then instead of Albert Einstein, his driver goes on the podium and address everybody nicely. Because every time Albert Einstein used to speak in every university, the driver would take a last seat and he will listen. And just like anybody sitting on a Vyasasana, what does he do, right? You can come and hear and Jaya Radha, right? You just copy. And that's what Prabhupada say. You don't have to use your brain. I have given you everything in the books. Read it, right? And do whatever I did. If Prabhupada says Jai Radha Madhav, we sing Jai Radha Madhav. He is reading the verse, we read the verse. He gives the translation, we read the translation. He gives the purport, we read the purport. Not a big deal, right? But that way you can preach others, just becoming a parrot of Srila Prabhupada. So what happened? That driver gave such a wonderful speech that everybody applauded him, and it went so well. Meanwhile, Albert Einstein was sitting at the last bench, relaxing, listening, and the response that he got, he said, even people don't clap so much for me. And when my driver spoke, everybody liked that. So he was very happy that at least I have someone who can fill the gap when I am not feeling good. Suddenly, a very smart boy gets up and he says, I have a question. Just like when we do Bhagavad class or Gita class or something, people have questions. And even if they don't ask, the speaker will ask that anybody has any question. And that's the best part of ISKCON. Anybody is here first time, right? They want you to be part of the family. They don't want you to go with some kind of doubts in your mind. Tell us, what would you like to know more than what I have said? So they ask question. So the boy asked a question. And this is where the biggest test came in driver's life. It was easy to imitate Albert Einstein up to that point. But the question is something that you have to understand first and then answer. He never heard this question before. He didn't even able to analyze the question. He did not have any answer about this. This is the advanced students here in MIT. So he says, why you are asking such a simple question? The driver says to the student, and everybody laugh. I don't know. It's such a simple question that I don't have to answer. Even my driver can answer. And he pointed at Albert Einstein at the last bench. And he said, driver, come here, answer. So Einstein goes on the stage and he explains the whole theory of relativity and C equal to mc square and this and boom, boom, boom. And everybody said, oh my God. Surprise. They didn't know this was the setup and that's the real Einstein and this is driver. But how come driver was able to project himself as Albert Einstein? We can project as Lord Krishna. We can project as Srila Prabhupada. It's not a big deal. But you have to put your brain here, you have to put your mind here. You put your love and affection, and you have to keep working on that. That's the condition. And then only you can act like that. So, one thing that is important while we are talking this thing is that, first of all, what is required is the Shraddha. You must have faith. Yesterday we also talked about this. Ado Shraddha, Tatah Sadhu Sangha, Tatah Bhajana Kriya. Right? There are the steps given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, nectar of devotion. The first condition, first and foremost, is the Shraddha. So, when we read this thing, number one, you must have faith in Radha Krishna. If you don't have faith in God, and you say, well, we are watching Rama, we are listening to Bhagavad, we are attending the Gita class, it's not going to help. First of all, you must have faith towards God. Second thing, You must have faith and love for the scripture itself. Look at the number of books Prabhupada has translated. It's done for you and for me and for everybody, for whole world. Age of 70, how instead of relaxing, going to Florida and stretch your armchair and look at the ocean, right? Instead of resting day and night, he was translating so that we can read these books. These books are right behind me, they are on sale. They come, Bhagavad Gita in a box, Srimad Bhagavatam in a box, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and any other books that Srila Prabhupada's. Please try to help the temple by sponsoring the reading program as well as buying those books. You can say, well, I became a member 55 years back. We believe you. We also became a life member 55 years back. But that does not mean that you do not support the temple and you don't buy a box which they are selling now at the price of peanuts. $150, who is going to give you this, right? And they ship you to your home. You don't have to even leave and come here and pick up the box. They ship you the box. So the idea is that please have a respect for the scripture, have a love for the scripture. That's the second condition. And the third condition is that if you really want to make your listening successful, this Rama Katha at the end of 9 days, if you want to have some kind of a return out of it, some fruits out of it, some results out of it, some reaction out of it, if you want that, then what it is, you also have respect for, third one is Vakta, the person who is reading. It not necessary I have to read. This morning somebody else was reading 8 o'clock. Tomorrow morning somebody else is going to read 8 o'clock in the Bhagavatam class, right? After Ram Navami, I may not be here, somebody else will be coming and reading about something else. So the thing is that anybody can present Srila Prabhupada's philosophy, and whoever the person teaching you, preaching you, you must have a respect for him also. The reason I am telling you is this particular book that we are reading, Mahadevji, who is, we call it Maha, means the greatest demigod, right? The chief demigod, Mahadeva. Even he was attracted and was curious about knowing Ramayana. So he asked his wife that there is a sage in Kanyakumari and he has resolved his heart to do Ram Katha, reading of Ramayana. So we should go and check it out. Now, Himalayas are in north, Kanyakumari is all the way in south, right? They have to cross the whole India walking. But after all, they are like guard and goddesses, so no problem. They did that. They walk all the way. Mahadev had a lot of respect for the sage who was going to read Ramayana. But his wife Sita, she observed that as soon as he saw Lord Shiva, the sage got up and paid Dandavat to Lord Shiva. That means the sage was one somehow inferior to Lord Shiva. If Guru is there, what do they? You think the Guru will give you Dandavat or you will offer him Dandavat? Right? The person who receives the obeisances is far greater than the person who is offering the obeisances. So right away, Mother Sati, she rejected the Vakta. Now, my husband must be knowing more than what you, because the way you behave. But person was humble. He will pay obeisances to ants and clouds and fruits and stones even. Anything comes in his way, he will, because every atom, every particle, right? Dust particle even have a Krishna over there. In minute form, Krishna resides in every word heart, and also in sentient or insentient products or creation of Lord. It's all scattered all over. So why not to pay obeisances? So Rishi or the sage was very humble. That's why he paid obeisances. So when he started Rama Katha, Mother Sita, as soon as he say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and like I said yesterday, that's a mantra for sleeping or making someone sleep. So Mother Parvati already started sleeping. But Lord Shiva is a Parama Vaishnava. Vaishnavam Shivoham. We call ourselves Vaishnava, right? That's where we belong. And among us, who is the topmost Vaishnava? Lord Shiva. So he fully awake remained during the Katha. So that is what I said, that we have to make sure that we have love for the person that we are glorifying, in this case Lord Ramachandraji, and also we should have respect for the Ramayana itself and respect for the people who are preaching message through the Ramayana. I think pretty soon we'll be starting Aarti. And the way we do is that we have actually asked Radha Govinda to go to your place. We call this a home program. What is a regular program and a home program? In the home program, we are asking actually Shri Radha Govinda that please go to our sponsorer. Every single day we have sponsorer. We will be announcing their name at the last day. But people are sponsoring, and we are making a resolution and asking with folded hands to Radha Krishna that please go to such and such place. This is where they live. This is their phone number. Although he is Antaryami, he knows everything. But we have to go through that ritual and ask Radha Govinda to be with you in your cell phone, on the screen of your laptop, or on the TV screen. What is different is that you can have it from anywhere and anything on your skin. But ritual is not actually done. So when it comes to Aarti, our instruction is there that since Radha Govinda is your guest, if you can afford and if you want, you can literally give him an incense, light up a ghee lamp, a little spoonful of water, handkerchief, flower petal, chamar, if you have conch shell, you can blow the conch shell also. And follow the pujari. Whatever way they are doing an offering, you can do it also. If you don't have anything, don't worry. The Manasi Puja or worshipping Krishna in your mind is even higher. So, you do it in your mind and try to please Lord Sri Krishna while we are chanting the Aarti. We will be coming back to the reading, and please join us for Sandhya Aarti, and we'll be singing Gaura Aarti. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakturinda. Ki Vajaya Jaya Gaurachande Aruti Koshobhan. Ki Vajaya Jaya Gaurachande Aruti Koshobhan. Jhanvi Tachvan Jaguman Loba. Jhanvi Tachvan Jaguman Loba. Dakshin Nitai Chand Bam Gadadharam. Dakshin Nitai Chand Bam Gadadharam. Nikate Advait Shreni Vasichatridara. Nikate Advait Shreni Vasichatridara. Basiyache Gaurachan Ratu Singhasanan. Basiyache Gaurachan Ratu Singhasanan. Arti Koren Brahma Adi Devagane. Arti Koren Brahma Adi Devagane. Narahari Adi Kore Chamar Julayan Narahari Adi Kore Chamar Julayan Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Ghoshadi Gaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Ghoshadi Gaya Shankha baje, ghanta baje, baje kartal. Shankha baje, ghanta baje, baje kartalam. Madhura mrudanga baje, parma rasala. Madhura mrudanga baje, parma rasala. Madhura mrudanga baje, parma rasala. Shankha baje, ghanta baje, madhur 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 baje. Shankha baje, ghanta baje, madhur 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 baje. Shankha baje, ghanta baje, madhur 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 baje. Madhur 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 baje, madhur 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 baje. Hari bol, hari bol, hari bol, hari bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Bahu koti chandra jini badan ujjwala. Bahu koti chandra jini badan ujjwala. Gal deshe vanmala pure jalmala. Gal deshe vanmala pure jalmala. Shiva Shuka Narada Premagadagadam. Shiva Shuka Narada Premagadagadam. Bhakti Vinod dekhen Gurar Sampada. Bhakti Vinod dekhen Gurar Sampada. Ki bajayo jaya Gaurachandra Aruti ko shobham. Ki bajayo jaya Gaurachandra Aruti ko shobham. Jhanavi tatvan jagman lobha. जानवी तट वन जगमन लोभा Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Vijay, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Lad Daine. Prahlad Lad Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvaksha. Hiranyakashi Purvaksha. Shilatankan khalaye. Shilatankan khalaye. Ito nasiyo parito nasiyo. Ito nasiyo parito nasiyo. Yatoya toya mitito nasiyo. Yatoya toya mitito nasiyo. Bahir nasiyo hridaye nasiyo. Bahir nasiyo hridaye nasiyo. Narasimham gadim sharanam prapadye. Narasimham gadim sharanam prapadye. Tav kar kamal vare nakham adbhuta shringham. Dalita hiranyakashipu tanu bringam. Keshavadruta narhari rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tav kar kamal vare nakham adbhuta shringham. Dalita hiranyakashipu tanu bringam. Keshavadrutam narhari rupam. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Nrsingadev, 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 Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Nrsingadev, 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 Jaya Nrsingadev, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Narsimha Bhagwan ki, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki, Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Bolo Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. So, I hope you had a chance to have a worship of Lord Shri Radha Krishna. It's my desire that by next year we may have Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Hanuman installed on this altar. Before that, since Rath Yatra is coming, if Jagannath is coming, we are going to keep him here and install him. It's possible to expand this whole altar and fill it with devotees and deities, so that all these readings that we are making may make sense. And we can also sing Aarti of Ram, Sita, Lakshmana, Hanuman if we have a deity. But it's my desire, and since we are doing this Rama Katha, I'm sure that they will become part of our worship and they will come. So as you know, we started in Srimad Bhagavatam, and what we read today, we have to coordinate with Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain us that whatever we read here, the promises that King Dashrath made to Kaikeyi, and he kept his promises. And then Lord Rama also kept promises that he made to his father and mother Kaikeyi. So Srila Prabhupada says here that to keep the promise of his father intact, Lord Ramachandra immediately gave up the position of the king and, accompanied by his wife, mother Sita, wandered from one forest to another on his lotus feet. So as this story goes further, Ramachandra actually leaves Ayodhya. It's very sad. This incident is happening in Ayodhya. When you learn Sanskrit, just like I describe about the alphabets and words and sentences and paragraphs and pages, similarly, if you read this carefully, of course, we have to just keep reading when it's a reading. There is no time to explain. But the word Ayodhya, what does it mean? Ayodhya. A means no, not there. Yodha means the warrior. In every city, in order to establish the law and order, you need a security people. You need cops. You have to control. Because there are all kinds of people. Tunde, matirvinna. So in order to keep this law and order within certain area, you need yodha. There may be, if it's not within the country or the city, maybe some outside forces will come and try to bother. So for that also you need yodha or soldiers or cops, police or security. But this is the only place on the earth planet, Ayodhya. They don't need anybody. Even if there is a yodha, if there is a cop, I say, but he has no job. Because what they are going to do with the security, they don't even know the concept of that. It is so peaceful. And King Dashrath is so powerful that nobody ever even thinking in their mind about breaking the law and order within Ayodhya. And that is why the name of the city is Ayodhya. There are no soldiers, no security forces, staff, cops, police, nothing. Guards. You don't need it. Everything is nice and fine. Nobody breaks the law. That's because King Dashrath was so powerful. And this is happening in Ayodhya. So, Lord Ramchandra immediately gave up the position of king and, accompanied by his wife Mother Sita, wandered from forest to another forest on his lotus feet, which were so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. It is said that Lord Rama got married to Mother Sita, in Videha, Janakpuri, Mithila. And when Lord Rama brought Sita home, all these three prominent wives of Dashrath were so much excited because at the same time Lakshmana also got married and Bharat and Shatrughna also got married. So when all those brothers brought their wives home at the same time, these three mothers, they have buckets and buckets of petals of roses, and they really throw at them. And when Mother Sita came towards Kaushalya, Kaushalya Mata said, "What happened? My darling, your feet are bleeding." She says, "Yes. These flower petals are very sharp for my skin. Can you believe? The flower petals that Kaushalya threw cut her skin and blood started bleeding. She was so delicate. And now, upon condition of Kaikai, Ram and Sita had to leave. And Kaikai not only said, you have to go, but you cannot wear your regular dress. You have to dress up like an ascetic. And what kind of material? Bark of a tree or a deer skin. In Ramayana, there are descriptions. It was so difficult for them to put this kind of barks of trees and deer skin and all that. It wouldn't stay on their body because all of them very delicate. But Ram, Sita and Lakshman had to do that. And wearing those kind of clothes, they departed. And they had to go to jungle. Wander from one forest to another on his lotus feet, which were so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. The Lord was also accompanied by Hanuman or by another monkey, Sugriva, king of monkeys, and by his own younger brother, Lord Lakshmana, both of whom gave him relief from the fatigue of wandering in the forest. So eventually, when Lord Hanuman joins them, that time, whatever fatigue was there, they try to console Ram and Sita by serving them. Having cut off the nose and ears of Shurpankha, that disfearing her, the Lord was separated from Mother Sita. He therefore became angry, moving his eyebrows and thus frightening the ocean, who then allowed the Lord to construct a bridge to cross the ocean. Subsequently, the Lord entered the kingdom of Ravana to kill him like a fire devouring a forest. May the Supreme Lord Ramchandra give us all protection. In the arena of sacrifices performed by Vishwamitra, Lord Ramchandra, king of Ayodhya, killed many demons, Rakshasas, and uncivilized man who wandered at night in the mode of darkness. May Lord Ramchandra, who killed these demons in the presence of Lakshmana, be kind enough to give us protection. O King, the pastimes of Lord Chandra were wonderful, like those of baby elephant in the assembly where Mother Sita was chosen to her husband. In the midst of the heroes of his world, he broke the bow belonging to Lord Shiva. This bow was so heavy that it carried by 300 men, but Lord Ramchandra bent the string it and broke it in middle, just as a baby elephant breaks a stick of sugar cane. Thus the Lord achieved the hand of Mother Sita, who was equally as endowed with transcendental qualities of form, beauty, behavior, age and nature. Indeed, she was the goddess of fortune who constantly rests on the chest of the Lord. While returning from Sita's home, after gaining her at the assembly of competitors, Lord Ramchandra met Parshuram. Although Parshuram was very proud, having read the earth of the royal order 21 times, he was defeated by a Lord who appeared to be Kshatriya of the royal order. So the beauty of Bhagavatam is that Ramayana is so big, you can see that, right? Thousands of pages. But Srimad Bhagavatam can concise in very few verses. It doesn't matter, there is no any sequence. In the beginning, he started talking about how he's crossing the ocean, how he's killing the Ravana, and then he's coming back to exile of Rama, and how delicate they were, and how they suffered in the forest, right? So the thing is, it's okay. As long as we know Ramayana, we can connect those events in our mind. But another beauty is that, for example, she was the goddess of fortune who constantly rests on the chest of the Lord. Now, this is very important. Last Sunday, if you heard, I gave this example, what was happening in the Kshisagar. That particular verse related to Ram Sita also, it related to Lakshmi Narayan also, and it related to Radha Krishna also. Because there is no any difference. For example, I was saying that when Vishwamitra was waking up Lord Rama, he says, Lord Rama, son of Kaushalya and Dashrath. So it is specific, right? It is addressed to Rama only. But then he says, Uttishta, Uttishta, Govinda. He calls him Govinda. Because actually, technically, there is no difference between Krishna and Rama. And then the rest of the arti is related to Vishnu. And that's why that particular arti, Mangala arti, they are offering to Tirupati ji. So basically, we make in our minds all kind of differences. That okay, we worship Krishna and we don't worship these, and we worship Rama and we don't worship these. But this explains that they are all on the same level and Vishnu Tattva. So, Mother Radha or Mother Sita is none other than the goddess of fortune. That's what's pointed right here. And the pastime is that we were reading that particular verse in which Lakshmi Kshir Samudra Rajtanayam Sriranga Dhameshwari Dasi Bhoot Samast Dev Vanitam Lokei Dipangam Kuram Shri Manmanda Kataksh Labda Vibhava Brahmendra Gangadharam Tvam Trailokya Kutimbini Sarsijam Vande Mukundam Priyam. Right? We are talking about Lakshmi ji, but at the same time we say Mukundam Priyam. Who is Mukundam Priyam? Look at the deities. Srimati Radharani. So is there any difference? No. And in Ramayana, this is Ramayana we are reading, in which they say the mother Sita, right? Indeed, she was the goddess of fortune. Mother Sita is Lakshmi. And she is massaging feet of Lord Vishnu in a Kshisagar. When you say the Kshisagar, where they are residing? There is no any palace or anything. But Sheshanag, Anant Shesh, is making a bed for Lakshmi Narayana. Narayan is lying, right? The Sheshanag over Lord Narayan's head is protecting him and becomes like an umbrella over his head. And Mother Lakshmi is massaging Lord Narayan's feet. While she was massaging and so busy meditating on Lord Narayan and Lord Narayan meditating on Mother Lakshmi, these are their intimate pastimes they are enjoying. Suddenly, a tortoise comes tortoise wants to join the pastimes. So he stays very near to the Anantashesha serpent, because that's a bed made out of serpent. And the waves of Kshisagar, ocean, is coming and washing feet of Lord Narayana. When that water is coming back, dripping from Lord Narayana's feet, the tortoise opening his mouth, his neck up like that, and trying to drink that water, want to, and his desire is that this drop of waters may drop right into his mouth, so that the Charanamrita, the water that washed lotus feet of Mahavishnu, may go in his mouth. And he can chant, Om Akala Mrityu Haranam Sarvavadi Vinashanam Vishnu Padakam Pitva Jatare Dhariyami. In my stomach, let this water which has washed the lotus feet of Narayana be in my stomach. Let me drink it. So that's why he was there. But Mahalakshmi saw that, oh, such a big tortoise is approaching and he's hiding behind Sheshnaga, trying to drink, right? His mouth is very near to lotus feet of Narayana. So she waved at the tortoise and says, no, no, Narayana is sleeping. Don't disturb him. Don't drink any water from his lotus feet. You just go away. She didn't want to involve him in the service of the Lord. She didn't want to share the devotional service that she was doing. So here you will come across a pastimes that tortoise went away, but his desire was to taste the water from the lotus feet of the Lord. So in the next life, he got body of a guha who is having a boat, and Rama, Sita and Lakshman eventually cross the river with the help of this person. So when Rama, Sita and Lakshman approached and asked, my dear friend, we are new to this forest. All we want is to cross this river, and you have boat. We will pay you. Can we rent your boat? Can we just cross the river with your help? And Guhu says, no. So why? He says, booked. Booked? What are you talking? We have been walking around this forest since last few days. We don't see even single person here. And you say it's booked. So he said, well, the reason I say it's booked because I don't want that you sit in my boat. So why not? He said, I heard about Ahalya. He said, you are the person. You came with Vishwamitra, and when your lotus feet touched a stone, it became a lady. Sir, I'm a married man. I don't have enough money to support my one wife. And if you turn my boat into another woman, what am I going to do with her? I don't need two wives. Besides, if I lose my boat, I lose everything. This is the only thing which gives me some money, and I support myself. So please make some other arrangements. And then he says, okay, if you allow me to wash your feet, because by washing your feet, the magic that you have in your lotus feet will go away and my boat will be safe. Ram says, I have no problem. So he puts a little plate under Lord Rama's feet and he is washing the lotus feet of Lord Rama. He collects into little container, little cup, and he is trying to enjoy the Charanamrit, which he did not get it while he was in a Kshisagar. He says, I swim all the way to Kshisagar just to taste Charanamrit of your lotus feet. But I was not lucky enough in my previous life. Why? Because Lakshmi ji, your wife, Sita, she says, no, go away. Right now, he's showing the cup of Charanamrit to Mother Sita and says, no, I'm not going to share it with you. I'm going to drink myself. And he drank it and enjoyed it and took them to other bank of the river. So these are very interesting stories. Lot to learn from that. And like I mentioned, Krishna is so generous. He satisfies all our desires without failure. A drop of water somebody wants to drink is coming back on this earth. And Ramchandra and Mahalakshmi, they come and he has a chance to wash his feet and drink the Charanamrit, which he wanted to sip in the previous life. So that way Krishna fulfilled desire, and Mother Lakshmi and the tortoise had a reunion or meeting again in this life. So thanks for joining. We'll meet tomorrow. And about Sunday, like I said, we may try to accommodate ourselves, but temple is open from 4:30 for the congregation, and that's why there is a direct conflict about the timing of Rama Katha. But we have asked whoever is going to speak on Zoom, he will be speaking about Lord Rama, and he will take this story further. And when we come back on Monday and Tuesday, we will be finishing this Ramayana part of it. On 21st of April, we have the big festival, which is the actual day of Rama Janma, or appearance day of Lord Rama. So you are invited, please come. And there will be a lot of activities, lot of kirtan, abhishek, and lectures, etc. Please don't miss. This is your temple, and try to support the temple by supporting this kind of reading, sponsor it. You can buy the books. If you don't want to do anything else, you may write a little check and send it in the name of ISKCON to Radha Govinda temple. When you come, you can also bring it. Whichever you want to support the temple, please try to do that. Like I mentioned, Einstein had a driver and he was able to do Einstein's work. Similarly, although Prabhupada is not there, but we are all drivers of Prabhupada. Whatever we learn from him through these books, please learn it spread it around and let the devotee family grow at every moment. So with this, we are trying to close this session. And please remember, be prepared for the Ram Navami. Meanwhile, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Ram Sita Lakshman Hanuman ki, Gau Premanande. Hare Krishna.